Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Portsmouth Coffee Talks Evening Edition show. I'm James Slim Overton, and I'm here with co-host Leah Drake Stick and Thomas the Colonel Chapman, and also we have a guest co-host, Mark. And hello, everybody. How you doing?
All right.
And tonight we have special guests with us, and we are focusing on the Southside. If you were with us last week, we had elected officials from the peninsula. We had the vice mayor of Hampton, Jimmy Gray, and we had councilwoman from Newport News, Tina Vick. And the subject was just talking about projections and expectations for the cities going into the new year, as well as talking about the importance of regionalism. We got that right. But anyway, we want to continue that talk this evening with our special guest, Vice Mayor from the City of Portsmouth, Lisa Lucas-Burt, and Councilwoman Dr. Ella Ward from the City of Chesapeake. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
evening, everybody.
And we wanted to have someone from Suffolk, but we couldn't put that together. But next week we will focus on Norfolk and Virginia Beach, and maybe we can slip Suffolk in there on that time. But anyway, we want to get the conversation started. So we want to give our guests an opportunity to have an opening statement, and then the Colonel will start off the conversation about the subjects we have mentioned already.
Okay.
Whoever wants to go first, we'll start with you, Lisa.
Okay, great. Well, I'm excited to be here. Thank you all for the invite. Regionalism is something that has been a topic of discussion for many years, even before I joined the Portsmouth City Council in 2016. And by way of just the introduction, I am Lisa Lucas-Burt, Vice Mayor in the City of Portsmouth. I ran for Portsmouth City Council in 2016. I'm on my second term, and out of the 7 years that I've been there, 2 of those terms have been as Vice Mayor, elected by my peers. I previously served on boards and commissions in the City of Portsmouth, specifically the Economic Development Authority Board, where I served as a member, vice chair, and then ultimately chair before I ran for City Council. But I've been strategically working in my community as a public servant for many, many years. I'm a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, where we gained a lot of our practice in conducting public service works, lobbying for issues of concerns in our communities. So that's where I got my background. And of course, from living in the household with Senator L. Louise Lucas, who is my mother, you had to have public service as a part of your agenda, or else you were not doing your due diligence as a citizen in the City of Portsmouth. So public service has been something that has been near and dear to my heart for over 20 years. Regionalism is something that a lot of people are talking about, and it's one that I'm interested in seeing move forward as we progress in the years to come, because I believe regionalism is just what's going to tie us all together as a city and as a region. So looking forward to the discussion that will be held here tonight. So thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, long time Councilwoman of the City of Chesapeake. How long has it been? And Dr. Ward, how long has it been?
Wow, 18 years on City Council and 6 years on Chesapeake School Board. So it's all of 24 years being elected. And I just won my 5th term we are 2022 on city council. So, yeah, long time. I've been working, like Lisa said, and good evening, everybody, and Happy New Year. And I'm glad to be here. And I'm just glad that I was trying to get in here earlier because I was having problems getting in here. So I just want to thank you for hosting and for giving me the opportunity also to come on and let people know I have been working in the background in Chesapeake for 52 years, the entire 52 years I've lived in the city. I worked in the background for Dr. William P. Clark and when they first ran for city council, and the late Dr. both of them are late. Hugo Owens, the first African Americans elected to the city of Chesapeake. Chesapeake is a relatively young city. We're only 66 years, and I've been busy in those 52 years trying to make a difference. And I'm glad we're talking about regionalism because as a city council member, I serve on the two regional boards that include 17 cities and counties, and certainly Councilwoman Vice Mayor of Portsmouth serves on that board with me. And with that, we have been working on regionalism, regional ideas, and I had that meeting, those two meetings today, the Hampton Roads Transportation Organization and the Hampton Roads Planning District Commission. Um, Both of those are very, very active in trying to get us to work together as a region. But prior to being on city council, I served on Chesapeake School Board from 2000 to 2006. And I ran for city council because I was concerned that in South Norfolk, an area that was had a lot of low income, a lot of people of color, the city council at that time, the school board, did not want to build a new school in Oscar Smith Middle School. And I was concerned about that because schools were being built in other areas of Chesapeake, but no new school there. And once I realized that city council provided the resources, the money for the schools to operate, and they weren't going to do it. So I said, well, I'll run for city council and I'll make sure we get a new Oscar Smith Middle School. And so that was my beginning on city council. But I'd always worked in the background since I was first in Chesapeake. I was fighting to help Camelot get a stoplight back in 1972 when we built out there and trying to get the streets paved. Different things. I served on several boards, on the library board, on the Fine Arts Commission. So I've been very active. I was always active in the background of politics with some of the greatest, including the great Dr. William P. Ward, longest serving mayor in Chesapeake. I also served 8 years on the State Board of Education. And by profession, I'm a teacher, more a teacher and administrator. I served 35 years in Portsmouth school system. So I claim Portsmouth too. And it was part of the region. I claim, yeah, Portsmouth because that was my best years in Portsmouth City. So even though I live in Chesapeake. But anyway, I'm just glad to be here. Oh, and I did serve on the State Board of Education for 8 years, 2 terms, and 5 years as the vice president. So, and I ran for Congress twice in 2012 and 2016. So, yeah, a lot of political background there, but it's all good. And a lot of it's about regionalism. And I am just hopeful and proud of the fact that we are trying to be more realistic when it comes to the regions working together, whether it's resiliency and the flooding, the tolls on our tunnels, which I think are disgraceful. And even though I didn't live in Portsmouth or Norfolk, even in Chesapeake, when they were trying to, the governor was proposing that, I was against it. I spoke against it. I got petitions signed against those tolls, tolls, but it didn't work. But because it impacts all of us. I live in Chesapeake, close to Suffolk, but I still use the downtown tunnel a lot. And a lot of other people do too. And it's really, really, it was hurtful that that was done. And I'm proud of my good friend, Senator L. Louise Lucas, and she's up there fighting that fight to try to get these tolls reduced or paid off or whatever can be done because it's regional. It really is. It impacts all of us. People from Suffolk, North Carolina need those tolls. Not the tolls. They need them removed if they could, or paid off, or whatever can be done. So I'm excited about it. We talked about it today at the regional board meetings, transportation and the Planning District Commission, because I serve on both of those for about 15, 16 years now. But we need to do something about those tolls as a region to get them reduced. So anyway, that's my region Yeah, I can go on and talk about that forever. But it's work to be done as a region. And I was there with Mark this morning with Transportation Organization. So we are very in tune to it. All 17 cities and counties need to be in this to help get it done. Thank you.
Okay. Did you also mention that you are also a member of?
Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, the Delta Theta Sorority.
Yes.
Incorporated. Okay.
Incorporated, that's
And
right.
this is a new year for the state and
Yeah.
our different cities in the Hampton Roads area. So,
Yeah.
Colonel, you want to start us off with the conversation tonight?
Okay. I am so glad to see two strong black women representing uh, two different cities, and it's a good thing because I always said black women saved this country from the dictator in chief that wanted to stay in business and stay in office the last time, and we need to get out next time because that in 2024 we may not have another election after that if he gets back in office.
That's right.
Two, we won't have these programs because he's already said there will be no freedom of the press.
Right.
And if we have a program like this, he'll have the dictatorial powers to come arrest us for saying something against us. So just like any other dictator. And so I advise everybody to go back and look at the, there's a new commercial on there from the Heritage. What is the name of that thing? Well, go back to this. But both of you talked about the tolls. Let me get back on target here. And everybody talks about reducing tolls, which is only a temporary fix. And I think what is the possibility of eliminating the tolls? Because I believe your mother, when she was in the Senate, when they talked about the tolls, if they would have put a 3 to 5 cent additional gas tax, it would have paid for this entire toll system. But remember, we had at the time we had another Confederate
governor.
Confederate governor.
Yeah.
And they rammed it down the throat and got the good old boys to get this contract that's I think it has another 49 years left.
Yeah. 57 years.
So in that contract, say if while we're in legislation having it open, is there a chance in the contract where we could go back to say we'll do 5 cents and just pay this thing off, or pay it off early like you would do in like a school loan or a mortgage or whatever, pay it off early. So I'll pose that to each one of you.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll start since Dr. Ward finished up her comments last. But there was a proposal back 10, 20 years ago by my mother, State Senator L. Louise Lucas, who is now the President Pro Tempore of the Virginia Senate and also Chair of Finance and Appropriations. She had proposed when she first joined the Virginia Senate that they add a 2 cent gas tax, which would have eliminated any ability or options for them to even toll tax us right here at the downtown tunnel in Portsmouth. Right. And, even if they look at, we're talking about elimination, or we're looking at reducing, or we want to totally do away with them, even if they took some of that burden off of the downtown tunnels and put them on some other tunnels, to help relieve some of that stress or some of the financial burden that most of the impact happens right there in the city of Portsmouth. We're the most economically stressed city out of the 7 cities in the region, and we're the one that desire and need the most help, and we're the ones that seem to be impacted the most. And that's why I'm so happy that we have a champion in the Virginia Senate by the name of L. Louise Lucas, my mother, who is fighting to have those tolls reduced. And they have proposed a great number, which would help to bring them down considerably. And of course, it is her intent to tackle that same process every year for the next 4 years of her current term until they are reduced. I think right now there's something like a $2 billion deficit balance on the tolls. And her belief, if she could get 500 million each year for the next 4 years, then that would eliminate the tolls. And I think that she has the muscle to do that. But we, as a city and as a region, working on regionalism, should want this. I posed the question to another group that I was in, that if you was Portsmouth, and you know that movie that was out some 25 years ago with
years for the next 4 years, then that would eliminate
Eddie Murphy, where they were trading places. I said, how many cities in the 757 region would want to trade places with the city of Portsmouth, with our 40% of our land mass is owned by the federal government. So we're at a disadvantage, which being able to generate revenue opportunities in our city because our land is locked by the federal government. And I think that we do a great job with the revenue that we have and the options that we have to build out houses, which we could generate income from. And of course, our new casino, which is our greatest task. We applaud again our state senator, Eloise Lucas, who has been a champion for that for 20 years. And everyone has seen in the news and in the media what kind of results they have brought as a result of the earnings that the casino have put forth every month. So that's one avenue. But working regionally together to help reduce and eliminate these tolls should be the first and foremost thing on all of our minds. Because if one part of our region is failing, then are we really thriving?
That's right.
Towards other metropolitan cities, and if you have another city that is not thriving because they are strapped with options where they are not able to generate any kind of substantial income, then what are we doing? We want to work regionally when somebody has all of the gold in their hand, but we don't want to work with some of those cities who don't seem to be able to bring as much to the table. But Portsmouth is a city that is untapped. I think we have untapped potential because we're right here at mile marker 0. We're have an opportunity to build out our waterfront, and regionally that could work because we would need other developers to come into our city and to help build out our waterfront. That has been one of my visionary ideas since I joined the city council, for us to move our jail off the waterfront and build it out someplace else, or choose another option and build a mixed use development or a mixed use project of homes on the waterfront, and also retail shops and eateries, something that would attract visitors and citizens to our downtown waterfront. That's a beautiful parcel of land, and I think we're getting close. We've been working with some developers on looking at some ideas, but I think that it doesn't necessarily belong in just the hands of city council. I think our citizens need to be at the table as well, to just put an idea on the table of what they would like our waterfront to look like. Because when you come out of the tunnel after you're paying your tolls, we want the people to be able to roll into something beautiful. And I think regionalism will play a great part in that process.
Ella?
Absolutely. And as I said, it's very near and dear to my heart too. I do claim Portsmouth. I spent 35 of my best years been in the Portsmouth school system, and it does impact all of the cities. It really does. And so anything that I can do, I think that we do need our citizens to get behind just that toll relief, however it is done. And I just applaud our Sora, the Senator Pro Tempore, and now Chairman of Appropriations and Finance. And Lisa, Vice Mayor Lisa, I'm glad that you mentioned that it's really like $2 billion debt for the tunnel. And that's something a lot of people don't know. And that is a lot to come up with at one time. And it's unfortunate that that former governor proposed that and got it through. Putting these tolls on, which is, an awful contract to sign anything for 57 years on any city. And it's really on the region. People keep saying Portsmouth, but it's not just Portsmouth. It is the entire region. And people need to realize that. And I agree with Lisa, when one city suffers financially, and especially as a result of something like a toll, which is hampering your transportation system, because people need to go to work. You go to school, go to college, go wherever, and it's for the most part, it's through the downtown tunnel. Yeah, I was going through the tunnel to Norfolk State, man. We had to pay just 10 cents to go through. It's been a toll for a long time, and then it was increased to 40 cents, and then it went down to 25 cents, and now it's just totally out of control. And that was done by, that previous governor. We know for whom originally it was done. I do think we need to work together. And as I said before, everything got started. I was at my regional board meeting this morning, and the Hampton Roads Transportation Organization is a regional body comprised of 17 cities and counties. And that's on the minds, and it was on the discussion. And one of the things we're going to be rallying about it when we go to the General Assembly. But we need the citizens also to get involved. Even if you don't live in Portsmouth or Norfolk, you travel through that tunnel, and it's all of us. And certainly, I do applaud Lisa and for having the foresight as vice mayor. And well, I will say the other. Hopefully, it was coming in November. She may want to say that, but certainly to work toward this and to work with the region. And as a member of the Hampton Roads Transportation Organization, we talked about it today and the need for toll relief, and certainly that beautification on the waterfront. I think is a great idea. But to get a $2 billion debt, it is going to have to be sequential to get rid of it altogether. And it's amazing because the original investors in this toll deal, certainly I wasn't. I don't think any of us on this panel were included in that.
Yeah.
But the fact that it was done for them to get a 13.5% return on their investment, you don't get that kind of return on much of anything.
Right.
And to guarantee the investors that kind of money, and for 57 years to impose a toll on the great citizens of Portsmouth and on the region, I think it was just an atrocity that we got into, and it was no fault of our own because we didn't plan for that. And the governor should have been held responsible, but he has not. He's gotten away with it. But whatever we can do as a region, and like I said, I served on these regional boards for 15 of my 18 years on council, and we were talking about today what needs to be done. We need to come together. And I'm also on the Hampton Roads Planning District Commission, and that's a regional body. And it came up there too. I'm sure I went to the River Stars event because that's another regional thing that we're trying to clean up the Elizabeth River all over, because that's not just a Portsmouth thing. It is all over to clean the river up for fishing and all kinds of things.
Yeah.
So I'm glad about this, and we need to get the word out. We're going to be going deltas. You mentioned that earlier. We're going to be going to the General Assembly this weekend. I know the bills. I think the deadline for entering bills, I think, is it tomorrow night, Lisa?
I think it is I thought the 18th or the 19th. Today is the 18th, so tomorrow.
So it might be tonight, 12 o'clock
Yes,
tonight.
right.
But at any rate, I know Senator Lucas is putting in a bill, and whatever the bill is that she's doing, we need to get behind her. We need to support it, try to get the rest of our General Assembly members. And thank God that we went out and we voted. And now we have the House of Delegates with Don Scott as the Speaker of the House, first time in history,
Yes.
400 plus years. And then to have Senator L. Louise Lucas, our great senator and soror and friend. We've been friends for 50 years or so, to propose what can be done to get rid of those tolls or reduce the tolls. And even by paying $500 million a year,
Yes.
that can be done.
Yes.
For 4 years, then it will be gone.
You mentioned 500 million. Is this a possibility? And I'm thinking out of the box, because if you look at historically, and we talk about regionalism, and every time there's a downturn in the economy, because we have so much military and DOD money coming in here, we have not, in the region, have not really suffered when there is a downturn in the economy,
Right.
and other places too. So if you turn these tolls and the two tunnels into a national security issue, because of the effects on the service members going over to the Naval Hospital and going back and forth, and to get since DOD has this unlimited dollars that they get every year, we just throw money at them, is to put that on them, and $500 million is a drop of bucket in DOD, is to tie that into the next. You have Bobby Scott and others can tie that in there in the defense authorization, and it's just that would not even be a blip on the dollars that they spend. What do you think about that?
I think that's an excellent idea. And we as a locality have not just stopped our legislation, our legislative packets at our state level. Of course, we do a legislative packet to our General Assembly, and we also do one to our federal government. But I think our federal government does owe us, this to just take a look at providing some type of resource or some type of relief to be able to help our citizens, because they are impacted just like you said. They travel our tunnels and are paying tolls as well, if not to work every day or whenever they're getting services at the Naval Hospital. We have a Coast Guard base here. We have our Virginia ports. Our port hosts are done here as well. And there's so many other avenues where they could, just payment in lieu of taxes or come up with some type of, plan to be able to help us with this. Because we, as I stated earlier in my comments, that are one of the cities where 40% of our land mass is owned by the federal government, and we're not able to use any of that to generate any income. We're already at a disadvantage to some of our other cities in the region because of that fact. We have asked, as a council, one of the things that we wanted to ask our shipyard, with our local shipyard, to be able to work with our CTE schools to be able to provide opportunities for our children to have successful careers without having to spend their hard-earned family dollars on college for those who could use that as an alternative option to be able to be able to live for themselves, because college is rising cost and everyone is not going to be able to afford to go to school. So if our federal government would just look at some of those as options to be able to help our up and coming rising students who are entering the workforce to be able to have skilled training opportunities right there in our shipyards and at our naval hospitals and in our Coast Guards and in all of those entities that restrict us from being able to generate the income that we need to be able to improve our infrastructure and to be able to provide better opportunities with tax reduction on our personal property tax for our citizens. We're one of the highest tax properties in the region because we had no other way to generate any income. We didn't have a lot of land mass. We didn't have a lot of housing communities where we could tax citizens who are homeowners. So we had to be able to build our budget from something. So we had to increase that personal property tax. Now, as a result of the casino and the revenue that they have earned over the past year, that they have been in business, and they will be celebrating 1 year next week.
On
and so we're
Saturday.
excited about that.
Saturday.
Yes, but the city has gained a 2% of their earnings every month. So we've been getting close to almost $1 million from the $25 million that they have gained each month. So we don't know what that total number looks like. We're right now in the middle of budget season with the city of Portsmouth, but we're hoping that that revenue stream that we've gained, the $1 million every year, every month from the casinos earning will be something that will be steady for us to be able to build our general fund so that we can offer more personal property tax relief for our citizens. And that would help them as well, because we're being hit on every corner. Taxes in our personal property, taxes with the tolls, and God knows what else may come in the future. But, you know, if we are strictly, specifically talking about regionalism, then these other localities need to look at it, because it could not be just us. It could be somebody else, a neighboring city in the future, if we're not careful with staying on top of these things and working together as a region to combat into some of these private partnerships, public-private partnerships that come about, that gets the wealth in their hand, and then they're off to Ohio or Kentucky or some other city that we don't even communicate with on a daily basis. So I'm glad that these topics are coming up, and I hope that we will continue them into the future. I think a lot of cities are on board now, because they see now that it could be me, you know, because they can't just keep hitting Portsmouth in the head as, you know, the one side of the region. They're going to have to tackle somebody else at some point, because it's going to be nothing else they can take from us at some point in the future.
Colonel, let me ask this. You know, we're going into the new year, and it's an election year, but until November, everybody who's in place will be in place. What are some of the things that some of the policy or actions that's a carryover from last year that you have expectations of trying to pass or get over to help the citizens now? You know, we can talk a lot about what we need to do in the future, but what about now? This is a new year, and a lot of things that were worked on last year that didn't get completed. So what are some of the things directly that we should be looking forward to, both of the cities working towards right now?
Are you asking the Colonel or asking us? Because I do want to make a comment too.
Colonel, is that question for Colonel?
Is that question to us or to Colonel?
No, I think he was asking you, but
okay. Well, I did want to make a comment.
Okay.
First of all, I certainly agree. And so trying to get, because infrastructure money, excuse me, is coming into the region, and you know, for the first time in many years, we really are getting a lot of that, which is good, and that's why the high-rise bridge is being constructed. The HR and Hampton Roads Bridge Tunnel. There's work on the James River Bridge. I know it's inconveniencing some citizens, but it's going to happen in the long run with traffic. And the Deep Creek Bridge. Again, that's federal government. That's the Corps of Engineers. It did not belong to the city of Chesapeake. But there is money from the federal government, and we need to work together to try to get some of that, get more of it, because a lot of this infrastructure money started with President Obama. As quiet as it's kept, you know, and we're finally getting it, and we appreciate President Joe Biden for, you know, releasing those funds and letting it go, because you know the kind of way they hamstrung President Obama for many, many things. But all of that is important, and the idea of having the federal government to help out with the tolls, because it's regional. And one other thing too, with the city of Portsmouth, because I'm always touting Portsmouth just like I live there. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm serious about it. Lisa knows I fought for Portsmouth, but when I ran for city council, even in school board in Chesapeake, but almost all of my organizations were Portsmouth. I was a Portsmouth Delta, a Portsmouth member of Norfolk State Alumni and the NAACP. That's because I worked there 35 years. But we have to work together on this, and the federal government, and we need to start pushing them. And because when you look at this election that's coming in 2024, it is dangerous. And one of the most important things that we can do for all of us, especially Portsmouth, Norfolk with these tolls, is to make sure that we get people, somebody in the White House, a person in the White House, not somebody who is not going to turn us back to wherever that was, you know, 100 years ago. And that's the talk. And then when you see that this person won the Iowa caucus, I mean, we really have our work to do. We
Yes.
got to vote, and tell people, inform people. We were talking about that before we started, Mr. Host, and I appreciate that. But so many of our folk are uninformed.
Yes.
And if you think things are bad now, just think of, I don't even want to think about what would happen over the next 4 years if that person gets back in the White House again. It won't be told. It'll be, I guess, slavery again, if he has his way. But we've got to work together on it. And I'm glad about the regional boards. We're going to be lobbying the General Assembly. Federal government couldn't step up because they do have resources, and a lot of those should be coming now to Hampton Roads. And that's a good thing, too. By having Senator Lucas and John Scott there, it's going to help us to make sure that we can get and by winning the House and the Senate, reestablishing the Senate, winning the House of Delegates, I think that's going to help too with this lobbying. I do want to say one thing too about Chesapeake, and Kelly, Congress.
Kelly Fowler.
Yeah, okay. Her bill to make it so that any city that has 250,000 or more residents, and Chesapeake does fall into that category, starting January 2025, that they will have to have boroughs or, for elections. And we just hope that that is going to pass. It seems like it's automatic, but nothing is automatic. But we hope that it does, because it's going to help get some people on Chesapeake City Council that really are willing to help. And I'm in a very, 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 very concerned. I'll be nice about it.
Compromising position. Yes.
Council, yes, being the only Democrat in the whole city, not just council, but the school board and all 5 of the constitutional officers. All of them are Republican. All 22
Oh my gosh.
Are Republicans. There's not a Democrat on the school board. All of our kids. There's not a Democrat with the constitutional officers. There are 5. So there are 22 Republicans and 1 Democrat. And it's really sad. And only 1 Black female in this city. It's crazy. It's sad. And you can't do it with 265,000 people that you have to campaign in front of in order to win either one of those, school board or city council or constitutional. And the most qualified people have been running in Chesapeake, and they cannot muster a win because you can't walk 365 miles and you can't get in front of 265,000 people and asking and getting 140,000 of them to vote for you. It's just not possible. So, but the attitudes of the people, that makes a difference too. The school board and city council dealt with this lobbying for Portsmouth, because I catch it and, I let them know where I stand. But we need to come together as a region and help push the federal government. We have Bobby Scott now, thank God. But we lost Elaine. Elaine Luria was the 2nd district, but half of Chesapeake now with the congressional person. We need to help get that straightened out again too, because Elaine Luria was really helping, in general. And we need to make sure that we get Democrat. I'm sorry, but it is to support Congressman Scott, and they can lobby. I know Senators Warner and Kane are doing some great things, and Senator Kane is running for re-election. So that's this year too.
Yes.
And we need to, start talking about these things and letting them know about these tolls, and all of that is part of their campaign strategy.
Yes.
To help this region. It's not just a Portsmouth thing. If Portsmouth goes, so goes the region. They don't realize that, but I do.
That's exactly it.
And they don't
Ladies,
realize.
I had 2 questions. I want to get one in on regionalism first. There have been some discussions in the Richmond area about the Richmond Metropolitan Statistical Area joining with the Hampton Roads Metropolitan Statistical Area. And it has been said that between the Richmond larger corporations and our world-class port facilities, we would have the geographic reach that would propel us 20 places in the national rankings. What are your thoughts on Richmond Metropolitan Area joining in with the Hampton Roads Metropolitan Area?
Sounds like a win-win situation to me. And I know it's difficult, but I serve on those regional boards, and some of this has come up with us too. For example, 64, to get that straight through, widening all the way to Richmond. And so it has come up with those kinds of conversation. And we finally got the last 20 miles, the funding for it, but it had to take the federal government to help do that. We got to Williamsburg, but 20 miles because they belong to 3 different entities.
Right.
And really, that last 20 miles was basically a Richmond kind of thing. So they all finally came together to get that because it increased to $400 million to finish that 20-mile strip to Richmond. So that has come up in our regional board meeting. I've been getting calls from the Bostonian, the mayor of Richmond,
Yes.
who is very interested in getting support in Hampton Roads for him. He's running for governor.
Yes.
So, right. So those conversations are being had, Ms. Stith, and I support it.
Yeah, because should it happen, we can draw
in
larger
Northern
corporations.
Virginia.
We could draw larger corporations to the Hampton Roads area if
Exactly.
it happen, because of the wonderful ports that we have here in the Hampton Roads area.
And I was going to mention that it does expand our reach when we combine our port opportunities with that of Richmond. They're a larger city, an older city, similar to Portsmouth, because I'm a member of Virginia First Cities, where I am the chair of Virginia First Cities, and we have a diverse group of talent that's right here in our region, and we need to monopolize on what we have. And sharing that in our Virginia First Cities, Dr. Ward, there are 17 cities that are economically stressed as well. So when we come together, we do better because we're pooling our resources, we're pooling our talents, we're offering an opportunity for diversity, which has been lacking across our region, and anything that we could do to go to our federal government and use it as leverage to ask for more resources and to ask for more funding for our port cities and for our infrastructure needs. That's always a plus. And I know that we do talk about that in our Hampton Roads Planning District meetings and our HRTPO as well. So, we need to show our citizens that talk is cheap. We come together, we meet, and we talk about some of the same agenda items. Let's start putting some real action to the pedal, to the metal, and asking our federal government that it's time to put up or shut up. And they have the funds. We appreciate what they lended to us, what they gave to us in the opera funds 2 years ago during the pandemic, because that was a big help, and it helped a lot of our localities to be able to pull themselves up by the bootstraps and to be able to use those resources to get some things done. A lot of us have aging schools. All of us have schools that are 50 and 60 years old that need repair and rebuilding. We have aging infrastructure in our water system where some of our pipes are 70, 80 years old, and they're starting to be affected by that. So we need help. We're crying out for help. And so anything that we could use to come together as a region, whether it's our ports or our infrastructure or just our aging communities, we need to go to our federal government and have them to lend a hand, send some of that money down so that we can build ourselves up, build our cities up to be a greater nation and to be a greater region. I don't know if we'll ever be a metropolitan region, but I think that coming together, it will help us to be stronger across the nation and to be viewed as a viable 757 coastal city.
And my last question, Alisa, will go to you.
Yes.
And it leads back to what James was asking about carryover projects within the city. I think it was $19 million that was given for the innovation zone on High Street. What is happening with that innovation zone money, and what's going to take place what are the plans for the
Right.
innovation zone?
So we have rolled out a plan. We had at one of our past last month, month before last month, they gave a presentation on our innovation district, and they have sectioned it off into parts of the city, where one is going to be like an incubator where businesses can come. Persons can come in and set up their businesses in the incubator section. Then they're going to have another section that's going to be for business model. There's going to be another section that's going to be for residential, because housing is an issue all across our region, whether you want to say it or not. We're lacking housing in our small city, and I know that some of the other cities that are larger than us are lacking housing as well. So that $19.5 million, and then of course Senator Lucas was able to contribute another $4.3 million. So it's a total of $23 million that we have to do a streetscape. We want to go and make our corridor, viable for our city. Put in some medians, put in some window wrapping for the businesses that are dilapidated, that are defunct. But the greatest piece that's going to come in that innovation district is going to provide some greater opportunities for businesses to come and build out right there on our high street, because that is our gateway into our downtown, and our gateway to our waterfront, which we want to build out to make it our revenue generating parcel of land in the city. We have our casino, and next is our waterfront, to make that something where visitors and citizens can come to make it an option to be able to visit and utilize Portsmouth in a greater way. And one last thing I do want to add on, we will be voting tomorrow. Whether you're voting in Republican or Democrat, voting begins tomorrow to get the candidate of your choice on the ballot for the presidential election. So Biden is on the ballot with two other persons. So citizens, get out there and vote in the primary election so that we can get our preferred candidate on the ballot for the presidential election coming up.
And quickly, Lisa, for those who don't know exactly where the innovation zone starts and where it ends, could you just give the parameters for those?
Yes. We're on High Street, where Effingham begins, and it goes all the way down past Norcom till you get to the MLK highway.
Okay, thank you.
That's our innovation district. Yes.
Thank you.
And you can go online to our website to find out more information about that.
Mark, don't want to leave you out.
Well, thanks.
Hi.
I was over here taking notes. I want to offer a couple of contrarian viewpoints. Number one, we talk about how Portsmouth is resource deprived, and then that was part of the rationale for making us one of the 5 casino cities. So now we have a casino. And
Mark, could you speak up a little bit like you at City Council?
His mic.
Can you hear me better?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so we talk about being resource deprived, which was one of the reasons that we were one of the 5 cities in Virginia to have a casino option. Now we have a casino, and what we do with the revenue derived from it really puts the ball on our side. We need to demonstrate that wise use of that revenue, and there are so many needs in the city. We talk about aging schools. Some of that money could be used to pay for school construction. But we all have to have a clear idea of what we're going to do with it. The other thing is, we talk about it in terms of $12 to $16 million, which was the estimated amount of revenue to come in.
Right.
We seem to be getting closer to the 12 than the 16, and we need to examine why it isn't closer to 16 and why there is actually a cap, a psychological cap, it seems, to what it could be. You all know about inflation. Every year, a dollar goes a shorter distance than it did the year before in an inflationary environment. And that's the way it is from the beginning of money. So we need to be looking at growth in revenue, and we need to be looking at rational deployment of resources. Secondly, waterfront development. Everybody talks about waterfront development as though it is the same as it used to be. Well, everybody needs to wake up. We're in an era of sea level rise. So where you develop in proximity to a rising sea, which means a rising river as well, is important, and how you develop is important.
I have a comment to that because the development of the waterfront has been something that has been on my visionary agenda since I joined the Portsmouth City Council in 2016. But I know that there's a regional greenhouse initiative that's put up by the state, and they have exactly contributed over some $300 million to the localities in the Hampton Roads area to address sea level rise and to help us become resilient about how we look at flooding. So we do need to keep our regional greenhouse gas initiative in place, because they are coming up with the funding that we will need to help address some of the flooding issues and some of the sea level rising and the resiliency issues that we're faced with as localities that are on waterfront property. So I appreciate the comments that you made, Mr. Mark Godoji-Yatrowski. But we need to work together to make sure that the RGGI stays in place so that we can continue to get a piece of that money to put towards resiliency projects.
And I don't disagree with that point of view, but when you look at what Norfolk, for example, has proposed in terms of dealing with sea level rise on their side of the river, they're talking billions.
Yeah.
And 330 million is across the Commonwealth,
Right.
not just the Hampton Roads area, not just
Right.
one locality.
Yes. But I think that's where our federal government will come into in hand as well, because a lot of our federal government facilities, our shipyard, our Coast Guard, and even our Naval Hospital are on that same waterfront that we're talking about developing on one end. So if that can be an avenue that we use to approach them to request additional funding, then so be it. We need to come together as a region, because we will be stronger as a region in our ask than we will be as one locality asking for ourselves.
They don't even have a federal budget for the coming fiscal year, so
Yeah,
I don't know what kind of a partner they will be.
where we're gonna get the money from. Yeah, and we're working on our budget as well right now. So one of the things that we're going to be looking at is how we deploy that casino money that we've gained over the last year.
Ella, is there anything interesting taking place in Chesapeake that we don't know about?
Well, I think one of the most
Says
interesting.
the Chesapeake resident.
Yeah, I talked about it earlier. Let me commend Portsmouth too. Mr. Mark knows about that. I left at my regional transportation board meeting today, but I was already excused. I was wanting to go to the the River Stars Business Awards, and I'm proud of, and a lot of it's about cleaning up the Elizabeth River. And Port Norfolk got an award in Portsmouth, and I was happy about that for all the great things they're doing to enhance the community, make it more beautiful, and to deal with resiliency and water, because a lot of it is right near the Elizabeth River. So I just want to throw that out there, that was a compliment. Again, it's regional kind of thing. There are awards from Norfolk State, and that's really the reason why I was there. But there were a lot of great things going on as far as resilience and the water and cleaning up the river. And I know you keep talking about it being, this is going to be great for Portsmouth to, that whole area, getting the jail off and having development on that beautiful site there. And I'm getting choked.
Mhm.
Excuse me. But I do want to let you know too, and I mentioned it earlier. Excuse me, please. I think I've been talking all day. Is that with Kelly Fowler, our former, she represented Chesapeake for years. Now with the redistricting, she does not. However, her bill to get any city that has over 250,000 people to vote by borough as of January 2025. And that is going to be so important because
Yes.
we need diversity in Chesapeake, but that diversity in Chesapeake could also help Portsmouth and
Right.
Norfolk, because I almost alone, and it's always been a struggle since I've been on, is to get the city council members, others, to realize that there is value, a lot of value in really working well with Portsmouth and Norfolk and Hampton and Newport News. And I love the regional boards for that reason. And they keep re-electing me for that, and it's been 15 years, 16 years on one and 15 on the other. Transportation 15 and PDC, 16 years of my 18 years on city council. So I just can't say enough about it. I know our time is running out, but working together, lobbying together, and that bill that people will be able to vote by boroughs in Chesapeake and any other city that has 250,000 people, and we other than Virginia Beach, and they didn't like it, but things were changed in Virginia Beach as a result of the lawsuit, but they had to be sued in order to get more representation of African Americans on city council. And
Yes.
Virginia Beach meant 50 some years, almost 60, without a black male ever being elected. And Chesapeake only had one black female in 66 years. That was Dr. Willa Bates-Moore, and I'm the second. And they've done everything they can to try to get rid of me, but with the help of God and having people know my stance, they haven't been able to do it yet. They pull all kinds of stuff to try to get me out of there. But I applaud you on this program and working together as a region. I like the idea of trying to work with Richmond because together we can do more. The port is one of the largest ports now on the coast. We got the dredging down to however you go. I guess you're going lower.
Going lower.
50 or 55 feet. That goal, that's going to help the larger containers. Now I know it put more trucks on the highway, but it's going to contribute to our businesses. They need to get their supplies. So, but a part of that is working together and getting those ports in. And we are prime. You're located in the prime area, Portsmouth, and all of us working. I appreciate you getting me on tonight and including me. So let me come again. I enjoyed working with Lisa, but all of us need to work together. And I think some good ideas too.
Yes.
And it's not off the table because as we have been discussing it and getting that last 20 miles on 64.
It will make a big difference. It would make a major difference.
Well, now we got the funding, so it's being done and it's going to get finished within a year or so. They've already started working on it, and that's regionalism at its best.
Exactly.
In Richmond to Hampton Road. So I think we got some stuff that go on there. And I enjoy being on those boards and having this talk. And thank you also, Mr. Mark, because I know you keep us straight there.
Yes, it does.
I have one more question, but I'm sure a Colonel has something there. I see your sign, Colonel.
Yeah.
The pen.
I know. I just got one comment real quick is that as we turn the page on 2023 and go into 24, and we're fast approaching November, what is the next election.
Yes, it is.
And we as a people look at what is our future going to be like.
Right.
We already know with history, and they have told us that they want to turn the clock back to the 50s and 40s
Right.
for us. Trump says he could have negotiated during the Civil War. He could have kept us out of the Civil War, and he said you could have kept your slaves, and as long as you don't succeed. But I implore everybody to go look at and view the Lincoln Project's commercial that they have on, is saying that it's titled "God Made a Dictator," and that is our future if we let this crook back in office in 24.
That's right.
Yes.
And Colonel, the one that they did on God, that is so fantastic.
Yeah, that's the commercial.
Yes.
God made a dictator.
Yes.
That is it. That is what our future is going to be like.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But watch the one that the Lincoln Project put out.
Yeah, that's what he's talking about.
That's what you're talking about. Yeah.
That's what you're talking about? Okay.
Yeah, the Lincoln Project.
Yes. And then so the other piece is we need to educate our populace, especially our young folks, because so many fall for these red herrings. And our Confederate governor doing the legislation talked about he wanted to get rid of the lesson or get rid of the car tax. But that was just to turn around to give corporate businesses another big tax break and then shift that burden to
the locality.
Yes.
So we have to look at that and call that kind of mess out. And,
yes, we do.
And we know that they are going to come out and talk about crime and the border and caravans that never going to happen, and CRT and whatever, the bathroom gender debates. It's only going to affect maybe 5 people in the whole state.
Exactly.
We have to call these folks out and say, hey, you have to call them out.
Enough.
If it's a racial piece, you call them a racist. That's right there on TV. And don't be afraid to not say that. And, and we need to come out in force, because if not,
I'm telling you,
we're gonna go backwards.
We're not going back.
No.
It's a possibility that we'll be back in slavery. I'll even say that we can go back into slavery. That's how far they want to take us.
Right.
That's my case.
Yeah.
I
have a question for Vice Mayor Lisa Lucas.
Yes.
And I think it's very important, especially going into this new year, that we have some stability in our administration.
Right.
In the type of government we have, the city manager is very important to the operation of the cities. How long will the process be to pick the next city manager? And do you think it can be done within this election cycle? Because I don't want it to be something that people will use as a part of the election process. I want it to be something that you all can really concentrate on what you're doing. So how long does that process take? Can it take place within this election cycle?
Sure,
because I think it's going to be very important for our future. And it's on a lot of people's minds right now.
It is on a lot of people's mind. It's definitely on my mind, because right now I filed today as a candidate to run for mayor in the city of Portsmouth in the November election. So I filed my petitions with the registrar's office today. Funny you asked. Our city council is in the process right now of finishing up with our search firm, and we do have applicants that we will be reviewing. So we're going to be looking at them as early as next week. We will go in and take a look at the applicants, and we'll begin the interview process, and then we'll make a determination on who we select as our next city manager. Of course, Portsmouth, as many other cities in our region, are council manager form of government. So our council appoints our city manager, and of course our city manager answers to the council as far as how we deliberate and get things done in the city. And it's going to be very strategic over these next 11 months leading up to the November election, because we have a lot of things at at bay right now. We have, of course, the development of our waterfront. We have the funds that we received from our casino. We need to determine how we use those funds to best help our city. We have schools, our CTE schools, and how we're going to build them out to make sure that our students have opportunities for successes. So it's going to be up to our council to choose the person who is going to be the best manager to move our city forward over these next 11 months and into the future, because we have some great things on the table that will determine the fate of our future. Portsmouth is starting to be recognized across the region, and how we move and deliberate over these next few months will be the strategic answer to restoring civility back to our council, and also building on what we have for our future. And I believe our next mayor will be that person who will help to bring some balance to that picture as well.
Lisa, I got one question before Slim cut me off on this one. Are you the first one? Who else has said that they're going to run?
We have Mayor Shannon Glover, who has stated that he's going to run. He's our current mayor, and then me, who I announced in December that I will run for mayor. So right now we only have two candidates who have declared their candidacy for mayor. And I filed today, and I believe our mayor has already filed. So right now, there's only two candidates who have filed the appropriate paperwork, petitions, and candidate declaration and or statement of organization documents to become a verified, certified candidate in the November election. And once I'm elected, I'll be the first African-American woman to serve as mayor in the city of Portsmouth.
And Lisa, for those who may not know, what is the cutoff date for filing for mayor?
That's June 8th. So we have 6 months to go before any other candidate, still have time to apply for that process. Okay. And you need 125 certified signatures to become eligible to serve to be placed on the ballot as a mayoral or a council candidate.
Right. Thank you.
Yes. One more question for Dr. Ward. Are you ready to take a question, Dr. Ward? You talked about the lack of diversity that's been on the Chesapeake Council for years, as far as women and African Americans. Are there any seats up this calendar year?
Yes, sir. 3 city council members and the mayor. 3 city council members, Debbie Ritter, Don Carey, and Robert Ike, are all running for re-election, and Mayor Rick West is also running for re-election.
So it's very important for people to pay attention to that in Chesapeake and, try to get some more diversity on there, because Chesapeake is getting to be a more diverse city as far as population.
Yes, to a degree. Percentage-wise, not, but with people.
Not percentage-wise, but,
29%, which is very unfortunate. Yeah, we've got 265,000 people. But when I ran for city council in 2006, we really had a great campaign of working together. I was kind of the leader because I was on school board and had been on for 6 years. And then, of course, I was on state board of education. And I had people knew who I was. And so we worked together, and we unseated the 3 Republicans that were on city council in 2006 when I ran for city council. And that was historic. And for the first time and the last, we ended up with 4 African Americans on city council, 3 black men and 1 black lady. That's me. But it was done. This year it's going to be difficult. There is a slate that's running. Well, according to members of that slate, because we just got organized. But anyway, that some of the members said that they were wishing former Senator Sproul to run for mayor. But anyway, I won't make a comment about that at all. But anyway, I won't make a comment. But yeah, it's going to be difficult to unseat those 3 Republicans. But there is a chance. It's a presidential election, and if people of color, if African Americans in particular, if they come out and vote, really about 52% of the citizens in Chesapeake are basically classified as Democrats, and 48 are classified as Republicans. And that was revealed when President Obama won Chesapeake, and he won Chesapeake both times. So there is hope, but I don't know exactly. I won't be on this later. I got 3 more years. So I was still mad with me because I helped to get those elections changed to November, which was really important in Chesapeake, because having people run in May, it was just really very, very bad for people of color, for people who are working to get into the polls. And you got 63 precincts in Chesapeake, and some of them are miles apart. But anyway, it happened in 2006, so we're hoping that it can happen again. But people have to vote. They got to come out and vote, and they got to know the issues and what's going on and what's at stake. And it's very, very difficult in Chesapeake to get the word out. But hopefully, and then especially with what's happening at the top. I guess that's cutting us off.
No, that's
yeah.
Go ahead.
We got to get them to vote for President Biden and for Senator Tim Kaine, because he does have an opponent. And we just got to get the word out. We got to get people to the polls in Chesapeake. So if you know people, fortunately for me, I win because there are so many people in Chesapeake, believe it or not, that I taught when I was in Portsmouth, or that worked with when I was in Portsmouth, for former teachers, former students. Now I get the grandchildren that I taught their grandmothers in at Wilson. So they moved to Chesapeake and they vote for me. And people don't quite get it. You gotta be busy. You gotta go places. You gotta do things in order to get the vote in Chesapeake, especially until we can get a barrels done. So you know anybody in Chesapeake, please tell them to vote, especially people of color. Come on down that ticket. Joe Biden, Tim Kaine, and the 3 councilmen. And I don't know who's going to run for mayor other than Rick West, but anyway, I'm not on the ballot this time, but I'll be helping.
Yes.
But speaking of the ballot in for city council in Portsmouth,
Yes.
How many open? Has open seats this time?
So we too have the mayor seat is open and 3 city council seats are open, and it's strategic this year because since 2016, when I first ran, I've currently been the only African American woman to serve on the council for those last 4 years, for the last 8 years. So now that my seat is open and I'm running for mayor, it opens up my seat. Dr. Mark Whitaker's seat is open, and DeAndre Bonds' seat is open. So those 3 seats are open. I believe that Dr. Mark Whitaker and Councilman Barnes will be running for re-election to their city council seats. I'll be running for mayor, which opens up my seat. And right now, I know there are at least 5 persons who are circulating petitions to run for city council. And of course, the filing deadline is not until June 8th. So I know that there will be at least 5 or 6 more.
Yes, Lisa, I heard 9 names, Lisa.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
9 names running for 3 seats.
Exactly.
That's why it's important to pay attention to Portsmouth Coffee Talk, because we'll try to give you information on all the candidates so you can make informative and righteous decision in November. So just make sure you stay aware and informed and involved from now on until November, so we can make sure we have people in there that really represent us. But anyway, any other questions from the host? If not, Leah, go ahead, Colonel.
Well, you said pay attention from now on. I just want to correct that and says pay attention to what happened before and all the nonsense that happened before.
You're exactly correct. You have to pay attention. Thanks for that.
Yes.
That's so important, what they did, especially the incumbents.
Yes.
Right.
I
Okay.
just had to get that out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Leah, will you close us out, please?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you both so very much for coming on. It has been a very informative session, and I truly believe that women going to turn things around this year in many, many ways. And
Mhm.
what was it? Sojourner Truth said, if one woman can turn the world upside down, and all these women together can right side it up again.
That's
So
correct.
That's right.
we are hoping to see some great things taking place. We're hoping to see more regionalism
Yes.
in our area, and we are hoping to see civility more
Yes.
than anything else.
Right.
We have to learn how to be civil with each other, even though we don't agree. We
Absolutely.
still have to be civil with each other. So I'm
Correct.
hoping that that happens in 2024, and that good luck to each of you. And Ella, I do have to become more informed about Chesapeake. I do apologize.
Yeah.
Thank
But
you.
all my
Yes,
time is
ma'am.
in Portsmouth, Ella. All my time is in Portsmouth.
Yes.
Somebody asked me about Chesapeake politics. I say Ella Ward.
Yeah.
That's all I have is Ella Ward. I
That's
have
what we
nothing
know.
else. So.
And we need to send Ella some help because
I need
she
some
can't
help.
do it by herself.
Yes.
That's
Exactly.
right.
So once again, I do want to thank you all so very much for coming on today. And I
Thank
think
you.
a lot has been shared, and prayerfully those who are out there in Facebook land or wherever you are on
Right.
YouTube, please go back and look at Portsmouth Coffee Talk, and you
Mhm.
will be informed as to what's going on in your locality.
Yes.
So please go back and look. And once again, I want to say thank you both so very much for coming on and sharing your information, your thoughts on regionalism
Yes.
and other items in
That's
the
right.
Hampton Roads area. So thank you so very much.
Yes.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for having
Thank
us.
you.
Yes.
And don't forget to go to our YouTube page and subscribe.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Subscribe
Thanks again
and
for
like,
everybody.
subscribe and like it.
Yeah. Thank
Thanks
you.
again, everybody. Take care. We'll see you next time.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.